With a health update on a WWE star and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Mentioning how he feels about fans sharing photos of him without his mask on, Rey Mysterio said this to the Wrestling Classic. You know, it's something I really don't mind. A lot of fans recognize me, and it's kind of like a new era of wrestling. For a while, I did wrestle without my mask, and a lot of fans know me because of that. But overall, I always try to give the fans the time and respect if getting asked for a picture or being recognized to take that time to be able to take a picture with them. Some have actually asked me, is it okay if I post it? I always give them the okay. Do whatever you want. It's your picture now. If I took a picture with you, it's because it's okay. But I respect the fact and I appreciate that they ask me if it's okay if they can post it. As Will Ospreay ended up taking a shot at Triple H during his AEW Dynamite promo this week, more details have been provided, with Dave Meltzer noting in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, this was not Tony Khan going, I can't stand WWE, I just want to devote 2 segments to running those assholes down, right? That didn't happen. In fact, one of Will Ospreay's lines about Punk, they told him, no, don't do it. Sharing his thoughts on AEW airing the backstage brawl between CM Punk and Jack Perry on Dynamite, Devon Dudley told Gabby AF, well, you know, it is a sad thing that happened in the business when CM Punk was there. Nobody should have to go through that stuff. No company should have to see that. But at the same time, when you have the inmates running the asylum, this is what happens. Again, I'm not there. I'm not in AEW, so I don't really know what's going on there. But I don't think it should have been appropriate to air something that, even though it happened months ago, that's something that you just don't air out. That's your dirty laundry. You keep that to yourself. The problem was handled. Time to move on. Time for RHEA to move on. Jack Perry is somewhere in Japan, and let's just leave it like that. To act like that, I'm not sure why they did that, and I don't get it, nor do I understand it. Oh, well, we need to expose this because Punk needs to be exposed. No, you did it for a cheap rating. I'm sorry. I'm not the only one that feels that way. There's a lot of AEW hardcore fans that feel the same way. I'm not saying anything negative about the company, but I do feel like this is one of the problems that Tony Khan has. He has a lot of yes people and not enough people to tell him, no, don't do this. If he is in fact really running the show on his own, he should have known better to not do something like that. It's just going to cause negativity. Sometimes negativity works, but in that aspect, not so much. I look at this like this also. A lot of people kind of agreed with Punk and what happened and what he did. There was a lot of AEW fans that agreed with him. There was some that didn't, but there were a lot of people that did agree with him because it just seems like the inmates are running the show over there. Look, again, I don't know because I don't work for the company. I'm a big fan of a lot of the talent that is there. I met a lot of them on the Jericho cruise. Great guys, really great guys. I have nothing negative to say about anybody in that company. Everybody that I've met has been nothing but respectful towards me, and it's been given right back. But in saying that, you cannot have the inmates running the asylum. This is exactly what happened with WCW. There was no one to say no. There was no Vince McMahon, who regardless of the allegations, he did keep a tight ship, and you would think twice about doing anything if Vince said no to something. You didn't question him. You did exactly what he said, and that was it, or you were gone. I think that's what Tony is missing over there. I think he has to get control over his organization, because if not, it's going to be another WCW. When it comes to future plans for Jon Moxley in AEW, BodySlam.net reported that last night in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Windy City Riot show from the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, AEW linchpin Jon Moxley defeated NJPW IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Tetsuya Naito to capture the promotion's top prize. In doing so, Jon Moxley became the first man in history to have captured the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, and now the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Coincidentally, the Wintrust Arena was also the site where he captured the AEW title in February 2020. This move to having Moxley capture the Japanese promotion's top prize has been in the offing since the start of 2024. This has coincided with the performer being granted time off from the American promotion in anticipation of this achievement. We can also exclusively reveal that Death Rider Moxley has been booked for the upcoming Dontaku Kazuna Road shows, as well as the tentpole Dominion show for Osaka, Japan. As seen last night, it would appear the first challenger for Moxley will be House of Torture's Ren Narita. Reflecting on the brawl that took place with himself, the Young Bucks, CM Punk, and Ace Steel following AEW's All Out event, Kenny Omega noted this during a Twitch livestream. Just because I represent a company or because I am an employee at one company over another, does that mean I love every storyline? Does that mean that I agree with every decision? No, of course not. I'm not the booker. I don't have power. I haven't had power for more than 4 years now in that company, and I know that's going to sound odd because, like, well, Kenny, you're an EVP. I'm nothing. I am nothing, and I'll tell you why. It's because I'm a terrible EVP. I don't deserve to be an EVP. If people want to ask for my advice, I'll do my best to help them. If there's a fire to put out backstage, I'm going to do my best to be that person. But if we go back and I don't want to have to comment on it, but I'll do it just because it adds context to it. I thought my duty as an EVP during Brawl Out would be to enter the situation while there was chaos, de-escalate it, and create a peaceful environment for everyone. I was able to create a peaceful environment for most important people in that altercation, and that was Larry, Punk's dog. And I swear to God, honestly, that was my biggest, and that sounds funny, but I look at animals and our pets as people, and Dobby, of course, Omega's cat, one of the most important people in my life. So to get little Larry out of there was the most important thing to me, and that was a success. Unfortunately, try as I may, things were too chaotic for me to be able to do anything on my own power. I believe it was in that instance when I realized that the way that I wanted to go about things wasn't necessarily the way that other people wanted to. It was also the way that other people necessarily didn't want to, and then it was also maybe not the way that the boss wanted to take care of it, and I also thought of myself as a liability because I don't want to say old school, I'm not old school. I just played a lot of contact sports and I've gotten into jiu-jitsu and boxing and mixed martial arts. I just know that sometimes when you perform or when you fight, when everything's on the line, when you give your heart, when you give your soul towards something and you're in that moment of high stress or high anxiety where you've maybe emptied the tank and you're just physically exhausted. But when you're in an environment like that, sometimes emotions get the best of you and people will want to throw hands. And I am unfortunately or fortunately a believer of it. I think if it's decided, hey, this is the best way to solve things, and you can shake hands after and move on after, I'm actually a believer of fighting. I am, and that sounds terrible to say, which is why, like, don't make me an EVP in 2024. We can't do that stuff anymore. I just feel that sometimes that's how you have to settle things. Sometimes, and I don't mean you have to settle it and then it has to be shown on screen to everyone or people have to brag online about who won, who lost. No, it's not for that purpose. It's for the purpose of just getting that stuff out that you need to get out, and I'll admit there were a number of times, even now with me, where I thought that that might have have been the most appropriate answer. It never came to that. We were able to talk things out and we became better friends, and there was a level of respect at that point on between myself and these other parties, and maybe I'll share these stories later. It's crazy. As much as I'll believe in cooler heads prevailing, sitting down and talking, sometimes there's just like, hey, I can't even think straight until I start throwing some hay, you know? Or maybe that I need to be smacked on a little bit, whatever the case might be. I think if it's a contained scenario and if it's not a situation where, you know, there's pulling people's eyeballs out, low blows, hair pulling or scratching, you know what I mean? If it's just like, hey, let's just hang and bang a little bit, I can see it sometimes being conducive for a positive work environment. Again, this is exactly why I have no power, nor should I. So that's just how I feel, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Providing an update on his health after suffering a neck injury back in March of 2022, Big E wrote this on X. Hey all, 2-year neck scans are in. Things are unchanged. My C1 has healed fibrously, but has not formed new bone. I'm not medically cleared, and truthfully, I may never be cleared, but I am blessed to be free of pain, immensely happy, and otherwise healthy. Life is good. In a video, Rhea Ripley can be seen singing the theme song of Cody Rhodes.
It's catchy though. Adrenaline in my soul. Oh my god, it's Cody Rhodes.
In a couple clips, Solo SIKOA can be seen mocking Jey Uso following SmackDown as they had faced each other in a match. SIKOA ended up losing the bout by DQ after hitting a low blow. Recapping SABU no-showing the Indie Hall of Fame and giving an update on the story, Ringside News wrote SABU retired from in-ring competition 2 years ago following an injury, marking the end of a storied chapter in his wrestling career. He no-showed the 2024 Indie Hall of Fame, and it has now been revealed that he returned the deposit as well. The class of 2024 saw GCW induct notable names such as the Briscoes, Trent Acid, Mercedes Martinez, and others into the Indie Hall of Fame. However, SABU, one of the most anticipated inductees, ended up drawing significant attention for his absence from the ceremony. Although he was set to be honored and inducted into the Hall of Fame, SABU did not make an appearance on stage during the event. His absence led to speculation and questions surrounding his reasons for not attending the ceremony. GCW promoter Brett Lauderdale addressed SABU's decision and respected it, noting that he had no hard feelings on the matter. On Thursday night, Lauderdale took to Twitter and revealed that SABU had returned the $300 deposit for the Indie Hall of Fame ceremony. Instead of keeping the money, Lauderdale decided to donate it to the William Way LGBT Community Center, supporting the organization's work within the community. Tonight, SABU reached out to GCW and returned the deposit, $300, he received for the Indie Hall of Fame. I appreciate the gesture and want to thank/reiterate my respect for SABU. I've decided to redirect the money in the form of a donation to the William Way LGBT Community Center. The William Way Center seeks to engage and support the diverse LGBTQIA+ communities in the greater Philadelphia area through arts and culture, empowerment, and community connections. We want all LGBTQIA+ people to feel safe, connected, and empowered. Revealing an odd gift that she received from a fan, Mandy Rose noted on her Power Alphas podcast, "My fans are so amazing, and I've gotten really amazing gifts in the past. There were a few different ones, one being fresh mozzarella, which is very interesting. not as good as my dad's mozzarella. The other two were really interesting. A pecan pie. This last one was, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for this fan. How do I top this? How does a fan top this? A zucchini. Do you want to know what he said? It's not gross. He said, here is fresh zucchini in case of an emergency. I don't know if there's some weird thing behind that. I was like, okay, thanks. I'm going to go stick this up my ass. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, this was said regarding WWE relaxing their PG guidelines for top stars. We were told that everything is up in the air as far as going forward, as there is a recognition that going farther in this direction will draw a younger audience as it did 25 years ago, but they also want to not be in a position where sponsors are squeamish, so it's a balancing act. But if Rock doesn't have 100% carte blanche to do what he wants, he has at last close to that. Asked about WWE seemingly relaxing the guidelines for their PG rating, AJ Styles said this to TV Insider. Whatever we need to do is what we need to do. We have to make sure we entertain. If that's PG, PG-13, whatever it is. I will say it's a little easier when you can do a little bit more. Doing it a little bit more is something I'm looking forward to. Going over his struggles with lordosis, which causes a curved spine in the neck or lower back, John Cena noted on Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard, I still don't have a good grasp on knowing my own capabilities in the ring, like always knowing my line and just towing it and trying to push it. Not saying, oh, I'm going to the top rope to do a backflip. I have lordosis, so it's uncomfortable to go ass over tea kettle. It's opposite of scoliosis. Over the years, it's gotten better, but 20s, I was like big booty out all the time. It's like sticking your butt out. Mentioning his previous runs as a heel in pro wrestling, Adam Copeland told Van Color, it's always fun to play a character where your job is to fall flat on your face and to have no redeeming qualities, and that's easy. It's easy to get people to not like you, especially in today's climate. It's hard to get an audience on your side. I think the only reason I've been able to up until this point is because everyone understands the real story of Adam behind the character and the battle to get this thing back after being forced to retire. So I think now, as much as it'd be nice to try and be heel, I tried it once and it failed pretty miserably. So I don't know if it would work anymore, but it was fun while it lasted for sure. Going back to the live stream with Kenny Omega, he said this regarding his relationship with CM Punk. Status with Punk right now, it's mutual respect. We reached out to each other. It's not like, hey, we're good now. We were never bad. Honestly, if it weren't for a complete other factor, we would have been able to have the talk on the night of Brawl Out. There's no issue between him and I, as far as I know. I don't think there is at all. Following WrestleMania 40, this was said regarding Brock Lesnar making a WWE comeback. As the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted, we'd been told a few weeks ago that it was one of those deals, unlike McMahon and John Laurinaitis, who are likely never coming back, in that at some point he'd be back. We were also told at that time it wasn't going to be that soon, and it was nothing in the immediate plans. Of course, Lesnar was implicated in the sex trafficking lawsuit against WWE, McMahon, and Laurinaitis, but not by name. For a reason as to why Stone Cold Steve Austin did not make it out for WrestleMania 40, it was said in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Undertaker's gong hit and he choke slammed and took out Rock. Austin was the person originally earmarked for that spot, but in the end they couldn't reach a financial agreement and Undertaker was put in his place. When it comes to the WWE contract status of Natalya, Fightful Select noted that in recent months it's been reported that Drew McIntyre, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, and others have their deals coming up much sooner than would typically be the case before negotiating. In addition, we're told that Natalya's WWE deal is also up within the next couple of months, and talks have not taken place between the two sides. Natalya is the company's longest tenured female wrestler. It appears another departure has been seen over at WWE, as PW Insider reported that the longest-running WWE employee still with World Wrestling Entertainment, 2019 WWE Hall of Fame Warrior Award winner Sue Aitchison, exited the company yesterday. PWInsider.com has confirmed with multiple sources. We are told that Aitchison was let go. Speaking of departures from WWE, it was also said that WWE released former NXT UK Assistant General Manager Sid Scala over the past week, PWInsider.com has learned. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.